Hello, welcome back to another video. Today it's a new comic book day, July 10th. And I went to my local comic shop this morning, picked up a couple books, read them, and now I'm going to talk about them as I bag and board them. So, start off with the two issues that are did not come out this week. It's the same series. It's a continuation from what I picked up last week, but Red Coat issue 2 and Red Coat issue 3. This from the Ghost Machine imprint from Image, and their shared universe that they're doing with Geiger and Rook Exodus. I haven't picked up any of the other books. I read some of the Geiger stuff, the original Geiger series, which I liked. But then these came out a couple months ago, and finally decided to last week dive into Red Coat. I enjoyed that first issue, and I enjoyed issue 2 and 3 as much as I enjoyed issue 1. So I like when there's kind of like historical characters in a fantasy type setting. It reminds me of somewhat like of kind of like National Treasure with Nicolas Cage, how they talk about like the founding fathers into like some like occult stuff, and it reminds me a lot of that. Like in this issue, in issue 2, he picks up a sidekick, and the sidekick is a young Albert Einstein. So that's just fun. But yeah, I enjoyed these. I will keep buying these. I think issue 4 comes out next week. So these, I still haven't. Maybe I'll pick up the other ones like Rook Exodus and Geiger on like a down type week. But those two, I enjoyed those a lot. So, all right. So next we'll go, and it's great because so. Let's see, Transformers issue 10, issue 10 came out this week. And spoiler alert, the other thing I'm going to talk about is another Jorge Corona book, Ain't No Grave. So I think it's pretty cool that it lined up that both Ain't No Grave and Transformers are hitting stands at the same week. So it's a very you get a double dose of Jorge Corona art, which is fun. Jorge took over as the main series artist for Transformers after, of course, Daniel Warren Johnson, and talked about that before. It was and I wasn't alone in thinking this. It was a very because Daniel Warren Johnson has such a unique style. The concern was like, oh my gosh, like what's it going to be like without him, because it's his take on it. He's still the writer. But honestly, Jorge Corona's art, he took over in issue 7, has been great. I really enjoyed it. In some ways, I've enjoyed it a little more than Daniel Warren Johnson's art, which is, I know it might sound crazy, but I love Daniel Warren Johnson's art. We've talked about that before. I just love what a little bit more of a traditional animation style that is kind of present in Jorge Corona's art, whereas Daniel Warren Johnson's leans more heavily on like manga. But the vibe and the tone is still there. Even the styling is very similar to Daniel Warren Johnson's in his art, so it didn't miss a beat at all. But I also picked up. So this is the main cover A. That's Daniel Warren Johnson's cover. I love the pairing of the cover A and the cover B, because it showcases the relationships between the human characters and the Autobots. Right now, like RC and Carly are kind of they're connecting, and I'm hoping this is like the new the new bromance of the series. But Spike and Beachcomber. Beachcomber is introduced in this issue, and I don't know. I feel like instantly, like right away, he might be one of my favorite characters in the whole series. He's just a fun guy. The first like 4 or 5 pages of the issue is all dedicated to his origin and how he came to be, and it's just the art is great. Yeah, I really don't want to spoil too much. I don't want to talk about too much of the story, but his introduction and his origin was told very little dialogue, all images, and very very powerful images, and it shows how Beachcomber traditionally is more of like a nature lover. And I remember like there's a bit of the cartoon where like it's kind of like Snow White, where like all the animals kind of surround him. But yeah, it gives off a strong vibe of he just loves nature, loves the earth, and I think he's going to be an interesting character in the whole the series as a whole, because it's so serious in the things that happen in issue 10. The stakes are even higher. Some kind of major stuff happens that really threatens Earth. So yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Yeah, so the Transformers, I how do I want to say this? So I was more into G.I. Joe as a kid. I always I liked Transformers. Never really had the toys. They were just they were pretty expensive for what you can get instead of like a couple G.I. Joe figures or Star Wars figures. But I always liked Transformers, and always loved the movie when that came out. Love the cartoon, but G.I. Joe has kind of been more my. I have way more G.I. Joe toys than I had Transformers toys. But I've always enjoyed Transformers, and I really, 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 and I know it's like a broken record, but like I love that I'm not so steeped in the lore of Transformers that like all the different iterations and all the IDW comics, they had a long like 15-year run on Transformers. Cartoons beyond like the original animated like G1 stuff, G2 a little bit too, but yeah, I've been loving what this is in the sense of like it's based in Generation 1. It kind of like starts off with the Generation 1 reboot, but it's clearly setting its own path, and that's it becomes more and more evident as the issues go on. So yeah, I really really love this series. So all right, so then the last thing I talked about was Ain't No Grave, which is written by Scotty Young. Also got the Jorge Corona art. It's a story about a gunslinger, like a hired killer named Ryder. She they always talk about her past as a gunslinger, and as very violent past. Did some not so wonderful things, but the story is about her trying to cheat death. She is since in the present day of this had settled down, has a wife, has a husband and a daughter, and she's terminally ill, and she's trying to cheat death. So the story is it's her trying to get to death. She wants to duel death to so she can live. And yeah, this issue is another really good one. There's some fun riverboat setting, scenery, action, some gambling, just things that I like to see in a Western motif comic. But it's got wonderful fantasy elements as well. It's just a lot of fun, and yeah, and it's only a 5-issue series, so it's we're at issue 3. And I like that it's a self-contained story. It's easily digestible, 5 issues, and then we're done. I really like that about that. Yeah, so those are the books. So Redcoat, Ain't No Grave, and Transformers. So it's like 5 issues, but 3 series that I picked up this week. So the other thing I just want to talk about real quick is I picked this up last week, Void Rivals. This is the other Energon Universe book that is written by Robert Kirkman that introduced Jetfire in issue 1. I read the rest of the volume, so I've read issues 1 through 6. There's some, there are ties to the Transformers universe. There's some brief interludes where you see Shockwave is in here, but this feels like it just feels like a slow burn. It feels like what it feels like to me is that Robert Kirkman, who loves to do sneaky stuff, like how we just ended Walking Dead with no notice, no solicitation notice, so it showed up on stands, and it's like this is the end of the series. He does sneaky stuff, and he loves stuff like that. So, Jetfire, that's an example of those kind of sneaky surprise stuff. I think Void Rivals, if I had to wager, I think this is going to be way more important to the overall story of the Energon universe than we think. Right now it's establishing Transformers on Earth and establishing the GI Joe teams and their kind of all the interconnected relationships there between Cobra, GI Joe, and their issues with Transformers. But I think Void Rivals. I think it's going to be way more connected than initially it appears. I think it deliberately starts small. It's about two people trapped on this planet, and they have to work together. They're a warring different species, different from different planets, and so you think it's like, oh, it's them stranded on this planet, and then where does it go from there? And after issue 1, spoiler, they get off that planet. So I think it starts small, and really has big plans for the series. If I had to guess, because of like I said, the way that Robert Kirkman likes to play the long game, he's going to plant seeds along the way, and I just think that Void Rivals will end up being a key title. So. That's all that I had that I picked up this week. I thought about what I want to do and how I want to do this if I go to the comic book shop and do these videos and while I bag and board the comics. I want to try to keep my budget to like $20 a week, somewhere around there. I don't want to get crazy with comics. I don't want to, I don't want to be buying a whole bunch of series. Like there was a new X-Men series #1 that started this week, art with Ryan Stegman. Art looked, pretty good, but I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into, buying all the X-Men titles. I may pick up, there's an Uncanny X-Men series that's coming up. Gail Simone is writing it, and the characters in that are more the characters that I'm familiar with as like a fan of the 90s teams. I may not. We'll see. But I don't want to go too deep into a whole lot of series. I just want to kind of keep it manageable. So we'll see how that goes. But I think this week I spent about $20. I think it was like $21 total, and that was 2 issues of Red Coat, 2 issues, two copies of the same issue of Transformers. So I could have not bought that, but I really like the 2 covers and how they work together with the Autobots and the humans. So they pair nicely together. So. Anyway, all right. I hope you enjoy these. I don't know. I mean, I'll probably keep doing them, but just because they're kind of fun to see what's out there in the comic shops, and it gives me a reason to go to the shop, which I like. I like doing that. I like supporting the shop that opened nearby. They just opened, back in the fall. But I like. It's been fun going there and chatting with him. I met some other people that were coming in to buy comics. So I do miss that kind of camaraderie at a local comic shop. So it's good to kind of have that back. And I'll keep trying to support that shop. So anyway, thank you for watching this one, and I will see you soon.